Now, she asked the question, what can we do? And basically, a lot of times, we got to look at time factors. See, when we looked at a certain amount of things that they did in Egypt, the certain amount of things they did in Egypt was to sustain the civilization in the physical based on they had another couple of thousand years here. And they did it to a certain level, and then it all came falling down because it wasn't meant for them to maintain the physical. They had the white boy that was going to come up and do everything conveniently in maintaining the physical, and we taught him all of that stuff. Yeah. So the next thing is depends on, and so we must ask the fundamental question. We must ask the fundamental question. Then what is the goal that we're trying to get to here? That's right. Is it the goal that we're trying to ask that we're trying to niche out a civilization that black people can live on this particular earth in harmony like they used to do of 2,000 years ago, or are we trying to end this particular plateau we own so we can go back to another realm of the cosmos, which is not necessarily physical? You see, if our history started just in the physical, then the ultimate goal was to get back to the apex of the physical history that we once fell from. But if so, that we were gods of the universe, ruling the universe, and the physical part was nothing but a prison house in which we fell, in so many words, when we got trapped in so many words, then the ultimate goal is, although we have made a civilization that was almost complementary to the heaven above, which would be Egypt, Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, Terra, Alchemoria, several names for it. They go back millions of years, despite what the white boy tell you. If we have done that, that was only a temporary phase. So now what are we looking for? Obviously, we know in actuality that there's no way, now just not be funny with this mess, there's no way possible that we can carve out a fundamental equal existence or a viable existence in the physical when we get by ourselves. We can't even run shit right by ourselves. It seems like everything that we even try to do outside of the white man does not even go right. We even have thousands of people that come and compare us to other cultures and say what we don't do compared to other cultures. And we must ask the fundamental question, if we are the original people on the earth and we have all this talent, what the other cultures are doing to sustain themselves, maybe we are not supposed to do that. So if we're not supposed to sustain ourselves in the physical like other cultures, that means we're talking about a plateau that's on another realm that's not necessarily physical. Just like any other scripture, when it ends up in the redemption stage of any scripture, ancient Egypt, Hebrew, Islam, they always talk about a hereafter in another dimension, whereas we go back to our original selves. And the fact is, our original selves is not that of an earth dweller. We're extraterrestrials and we're gods. That's why the white man now is creating all this other false extraterrestrial to throw the whole world off on who the real ETs are. We're the real extraterrestrials. Terrestrial means what? Earth dweller, earthbound. Then there's extraterrestrial, which means beyond the earth. That's what extraterrestrials mean. Well, our history, if you study ancient Egypt, ancient Hebrew, and we're not talking about fundamental religion from 2,000 years on up. That's just a control thing, a ward of the church, or a ward of a certain culture that want to control a certain amount of people based on moral laws. That has nothing to do with real spirituality. Real ancient scripture, real ancient teaching system, metaphysical systems, or what you call mystery systems, tell you that we once were gods in control of the universe, and then we fell on this plateau. And then while on this plateau, we made the best of it. And the mere fact that the best caved in and fell down was because we inherited it. We got rid of that, or we gave it up so we can go into hibernation or go into the cocoon stage so we can have a metamorphosis as the butterfly, which means we would be reborn into a God greater than the God that we fell from, even in the heavens when we was up there doing our thing, which is higher than this. So the key on what we're talking about, we must ask ourselves the fundamental question. Do we want to do a certain amount of things to get in control so we can do tricks and stuff to control our physical conditions? Which, and being the masters of a goddamn ship with a big ass hole in it that is sinking. No. I don't want to be a captain of a ship or the Titanic. You understand what I'm saying? So the key on what we're talking about here, we must ask ourselves, and that's why all of your particular stuff that was borrowed and you see this put into Christianity and all, ends up with the an illumination or a metamorphosis that we call apocalypse. So that means that apocalypse or nihilism is good. It means in actuality if a house is raggedy in the foundation, there's not but one thing to do: put a bomb to the house and blow it up. So we're not talking about a patch-up work. So when we get back into this for a certain amount of knowledge, people think that people want to gain a certain amount of skills that they can sustain themselves on the physical. That's not liberation. That's just a form of resistance, which we do that right now just by buck dancing to the white man. You understand what I'm saying? So we're talking about something bigger than what we can perceive of just trying to just live comfortable. Living comfortable, even if we live the best comfortable, is still on an animalistic level for the mere fact that you got to have a certain amount of things just to live. When in actuality we are gods and stuff, and we didn't need anything physical to live because we weren't in the physical. Now, that's the real knowledge they're not telling anybody. Yeah, they're not telling anybody. So now, in dealing with that, the mere fact that the earth is corroding itself and being destroyed itself, and people are dying, means that we're going to another dimension. So what we call chaos is actually bringing order to things. You understand what I'm saying? Bringing order to things. And just that we are on the first leg of that. So in your mind, you have a chaos, that thing. You're wrestling with the things of what you were taught based on a certain structural way to do a certain thing. And you're wrestling with that. So you are looking for techniques. On the other hand, for the mere fact that you are asking that question and you are sincere about it, you are automatically initiating to that particular part anyway, and how you go about that struggle is in fact all a part of the ritual. It's like the Spirit told me a long time ago, they said, you're going to look back on this little phase that you're trying to get to, and you're going to find out, oh, I was in a ritual the whole time. It's like being in an adventure. And the person got to go through a whole lot of this type of thing, pitfalls, that type of thing, gain, lose, to get the pot of gold at the end. That's exactly what we're talking about, and that's what basically, if you look at the Egyptian Book of the Dead or the Book of Coming Forth by Day, you will see that that's what it's all talking about. You got to get through certain gateways, doorways, and certain things. So in actuality, we are in a ritual within itself. You see, if we just ask ourselves, how did we get to this point to even be discussing this thing when all of the 1980s this would not even be heard of? And then when we look back, there was a series of progression that got us to this particular point that we are right now. The first part was just to realize the history that we did come from something, and that's what your whole Afrocentric thing did in the first leg of this. The second part is that in that history that we looked for, we found out that we was a part of a mystery system. And this is the actual mystery system. Well, what is a mystery? A mystery is not the thing that in actuality that you can recognize and can rationalize. Otherwise, that ain't a mystery. You understand what I'm saying? That's not a mystery. That's comfort. A mystery is something that is so remotely unthinkable. You understand what I'm saying? So remotely unthinkable and all, until that would be the only thing that can even what you would call spark a divine thought. Something that you never heard of, or either something that every time you heard that, you thought it was something that was crazy.